Hey guys, what's up? This is Rascal Ryan 521 here, bringing you a much anticipated video. And today, this is my video showcasing my top 10 TV shows of all time. And I've been meaning to do this ever since my top 15 movies of all time video. But I figured I got my favorite show, or the number 2 show on this list. Just wrapped last Tuesday. It is done. It's done for good. And I felt no better time than now to finally do this video that I've been putting off for so long. And yeah, let's get started right away. Really quickly, before we start, I want to give out an honorable mention to a TV show called Everybody Hates Chris. It's basically about, Chris Rock's life back in the 1980s when he was growing up in high school and in middle school and whatnot. And it's just basically, he has to deal with his chaotic family, his wacky school, where he's like the only black kid at school, so he gets picked on a lot. And, his weird friend Greg. It's actually kind of funny, the two main characters, were actually both in The Walking Dead. The guy that plays Chris is currently playing Noah in The Walking Dead, the kid from the Grady Hospital. And the guy that played Greg, Chris's best friend, is the kid that, I think his name was Patrick, the guy that died in the Season 4 premiere, the one that kind of started spreading the whole virus. So I just thought that was kind of an interesting fact, but it's a very, very funny show. I really wish I could have made this list, but I didn't want to make it a top 11 list. I thought that'd be kind of weird, and I didn't want it to look like I was copying the Nostalgia Critic by doing a top 11 or anything. But, yeah, so that's just a quick honorable mention. And, yeah, let's get started. So I'll move my little Lego sig fig out of the way here. Coming in at number 1, the only kids show that I can actually still tolerate. The one that is almost as funny to me today as it used to be when I watched it back in elementary school. And I'm talking about Drake and Josh. Here, let me move it up a little bit. Like that, there we go. And Drake and Josh, oh, here we go. Kind of blurry. This is basically a show that aired on Nickelodeon from, I believe, 2005 to 2007. There we go, it's pretty well centered. Somewhere around there, 2004 maybe, 2007, something like that. But it's basically, Josh is like this really nerdy kid, and this really nerdy big kid, and Drake is like this really popular musician, and basically their parents get married and they become stepbrothers. And this is from the things of Season 3 at the bottom there. This is a picture from then. I believe it had like 4 or 5 seasons. But as you can tell, towards the end, Josh kind of becomes more of the cool one, and Drake, almost in a way, becomes more of like the nerdy one. So it's kind of interesting how that happens. Josh, I think in real life the actor lost a lot of weight, so that kind of caused a change in his character. I don't know if that was intentionally for the show or just for well-being, just for himself as an actor, as a person. But still, a very, very funny show. Not as funny as it used to be. Like, one of my favorite episodes is this episode called The Wedding. Basically, their great aunt or whatever is getting married, and they have to deliver the wedding cake. But, they give away, Drake gives away Josh's laptop case to a couple of their friends, so they don't have, and his keys were in the laptop case, so they don't have keys for a car. They have to borrow their friend's, car from the 70s that breaks down in the middle of nowhere. They get a parking ticket, some guys pull over and mug them, and they finally get a tow truck, but Drake makes fun of his name because it's like he has a girl's name, and the dude just drives off, the car starts on fire. Just so much funny stuff happens. It's such a hilarious episode. Definitely got to be my favorite episode of the show. And I remember just rewatching it recently because it was on, Teen Nick or something like that. They air reruns on there quite a bit. And I saw it about a year ago. I recorded it, I watched it. And some of the jokes are still as funny today as they were back then. But then again, some of them just didn't land, so, not like they used to. So, it has gone down in quality in terms of, well, it hasn't gone down in quality. I'm saying, in terms of, it's not one of those shows that I think in 10 years from now, I'll find funny at all. But it's just a good, it's a funny kids show, for a kids show. It's a lot better than a lot of the other crap that's on Nickelodeon now. The only time I ever watch Nickelodeon is when I'm watching stuff on Nick at Night, like Friends, or another show that you'll see that's on this list. Not Friends, another one I'm talking about. But other than that, yeah. So it's a great show, and if you can ever find the reruns on, I really recommend you watch it. So coming at number 9 is the original edgy cartoon, the one that kind of started the whole adult cartoon genre, even though this one, by today's standards, is almost a kid's show in a way when you compare it to, like, current cartoons. And this is The Simpsons, of course, you know, everybody's favorite family from Springfield. A very, very funny show, especially in its golden years, the early days of the 90s. I wasn't alive, obviously, back for, you know, to see those, but I have all the DVDs, or at least most of the seasons, I think, on DVD. I may be behind, like, 2 or 3. I haven't really been paying attention to them in the past couple of years, you know, which ones were released, but for the past couple of years, I've pretty much been collecting just about every DVD they released every season. It's because I like to go back and watch what people consider the golden age of The Simpsons, and it really is funny. Today's quality has definitely dipped a lot. I look way more forward to watching another show you'll see later on this list than I do with The Simpsons on Sunday nights. But it's still a great show. It still has a couple jokes that land, and it's just all around just a really funny show that I can definitely say I watch a lot. Well, when it's on. If sometimes I'll pull out the old DVDs and watch some of the 90s episodes, but other than that, yeah. Just noticing this is already going on to 6 minutes, so just a warning, this may be could be a longer video, could even go into 20 to 30 minutes. And there will be spoilers for some of these shows getting higher up on the list, because I just gotta talk about them just to tell you how awesome the show really is. Coming in at number 8, we've got a sitcom that I've just found out about a couple years ago. It's been canceled for a while, but it's still a very, very funny show, one of my favorites. And this is The King of Queens. Basically stars Kevin James. He's kind of, you know, he doesn't really have a very good movie career nowadays, especially with those god-awful Grown-Ups movies. But with this show, he really shows he can be funny. He's basically a delivery man for UPS, or they call it IPS in the show, you know, copyright or something, which is weird because they can say FedEx in the show, but they can't say UPS, I don't know. But still, it's basically him and his wife, they just got this, new house or whatever. It's been a while since I saw the first episode. He has a new TV, a decent job, not a great job, but a decent job. And then his father-in-law, played by Jerry Stiller, Ben Stiller's dad, who's you may know from Seinfeld. He plays his wife's dad, and he's just got to be one of the funniest parts of the show. That's kind of the main premise, is him moving in and all the wacky stuff that happens. But it's kind of maybe the premise for the first couple episodes or something. But for the most part, it just kind of deals around his weird life and just all sorts of weird things that his family does. And it's a very funny show, I guess. I know I keep saying that, but I don't really know how else to describe it. There's no jokes in particular I can think of. I love the part where Doug and Arthur, Jerry Stiller's character, and Kevin James's character, are ordering Domino's pizza. Look up that clip on YouTube. That one's very funny. Or the one where, or the clip where Doug's at the drive-thru and his car breaks down. Just a couple of my favorite moments off the top of my head. But yeah, very, very funny show. Definitely the high point of Kevin James' career. And I really recommend you check it out, because if your local networks are anything like mine, then I know they rerun this show quite a bit. They also air it, I think, on TV Land. It's a channel that airs a lot of older shows, a lot of older canceled shows, but I think they air it on there a lot. So very, very funny show. Next up at number 7, another sitcom that I absolutely love. I'm kind of surprised it's not higher up on this list. There's just too many other shows to put it any higher than this. I have The Big Bang Theory. The Big Bang Theory is just, I'm sure a lot of you watch it. I'd be willing to call myself a nerd, and I would hope you guys would be able to do the same. Because you really almost, in a way, have to be a nerd to kind of get some of the stuff in this show. I'm not insulting any of you guys. I'm even willing to call myself a nerd. But yeah, so you gotta kind of be able to understand a lot of these jokes. You almost, in a way, have to be a nerd to get some of the humor they make in this show. But other jokes, just jokes involving Penny, are kind of you can pretty much get those pretty easily if you have a middle school education. But yeah, this is just an overall very funny show. You know, obviously it deals with four main characters, all these really nerdy physicists. I think one of them is an engineer, if I remember right. We have Sheldon, Howard, Raj, and Leonard, of course, are four main characters. And then this really hot chick moves in next door, Penny. And, you know, basically the show kind of centers around Leonard trying to score a date with her. And, you know, the show's going on, like, I have no idea what season it's on. It's probably, I would be willing to say, like, maybe 5 or 6 or 7 or something like that. But they just got engaged last season, so that's kind of one of the main plots of the show, because they've had, like, an on and off Ross-Rachel type of relationship throughout the show. But it's a very funny show. A lot of episodes. I actually haven't been watching it from the beginning, so I don't know everything that happens. I probably started watching it, I don't know, maybe around like season 3 or 4. I've seen older episodes, but because they air that show constantly in the local networks too. But yeah, very, very funny show for all the nerd fanboys out there. Next up is a show I don't know if a lot of people have heard of. It airs on True TV, but it's still a very, very funny show. One of the funniest I've ever seen. And this is Impractical Jokers. Basically, this show, let me kind of explain it to you. It deals with, it's basically a hidden camera prank show. We've got our four main characters, like best friends since high school. We've got Sal, I'm trying to look closer, that's Joe, Sal, Murr, Joe, and Q are kind of their nicknames they go by in the show. And basically, they go out in public and they dare each other to do stupid things. It's just a really funny show. They've got a great sense of humor. Like, one of my favorites was they had to go out in, like, Central Park and ask somebody to borrow their cell phone. And, other guys were holding up note cards of what to say for the other guy to read. And one of them was like, I gotta call a white guy named Jacrispy. Or one of them was, like, no joke, I need to call Batman. And the dude just, like, immediately, like, pulls out his phone and hands it to him, like, okay, go ahead, man. Like, he was really serious about it. Or there was another one where, I think it was Murr. He was walking by my favorite character of the show. Well, not really character, but my favorite actor in the show, I guess you'd say, because it's a reality show. But he went up to these little teenage girls, and he says something like, I need to call your mom because you're about to be taken. And they, like, started to run away from him. He's like, no, I'm not the one taking you, somebody else. And it was really funny. It's only been on for about, I think it's like 3 seasons, and they don't air very many episodes. But it's a very, very funny show. I don't think there's a season going on right now. I think one just ended about a month or 2 ago. But just if it's on True TV. You'll probably be able to find reruns a lot, considering it's probably one of their highest rated TV shows. But I really recommend you watch it if you haven't already. And let me know if you've heard of it or not, because I don't know if this one's very well known or not. Let's see. I think we're going on to number 5 now. Let's see. Yep, number 5. This one, number 5, is a sitcom that I don't know if many people know about. Again, it didn't do, from what I've heard, it didn't do very well when it was on, but it's did incredibly good in syndication from what I've heard. You know, that's when they air the reruns on a different network. And, this is the other show I was talking about that I like to watch on Nick at Night. Sorry, voice crack. Very, very funny. This is George Lopez. Just overall, I've always loved this show. I've been watching it ever since, like, maybe, probably when it first started airing on Nick at Night. I don't know, probably, like, I was in, like, 4th or 5th grade, so, like, 2008, 2009, 2010, something like that. But I've been watching ever since then, and it is just, oh my god, it is so funny, guys. Maybe it's not your sense of humor. My dad thinks it's kind of a stupid show. Oh, but I love it. I think it's just an awesome show. I've got friends at school that love it. And then it's kind of sad because, you know, after adding the, you know, Friends, a great show, still kind of sucks they added that to the Nick at Night lineup. Not just because, you know, it kind of pushes out all the other old shows. You know, after adding Friends, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, the incredibly overrated, in my opinion, How I Met Your Mother. I don't want to get any hate comments for that. I'm just saying that because I haven't watched many episodes of it, okay? I haven't followed the story. But in my opinion, from what I've seen, it's never really made me laugh. Maybe it's just not my show. But after adding all those shows, though, there's no really spots to put George Lopez on it. It ends up airing between like 12 and 3 o'clock 12 at night and like 3 o'clock in the morning, and somewhere in that time slot. From what I've noticed on the weekends and whatnot, when I stay up and watch them, sometimes I'll record them or something. But it's just really sad because it's such a funny show. It's basically just about George Lopez right there. He kind of becomes a manager of an airplane parts factory. It's just kind of about, his family life, his dad that abandoned him all of a sudden. If he finds out he's alive earlier on in the show, like in the first or second season. Part of the show is kind of about his hunt to find, to kind of find him. He's kind of searching the internet, and one of my favorite episodes is when he steals the president's speech, when he gives a speech at the the airplane parts factory. Sorry, must be thinking of The Simpsons. But still a very, very funny show. I really like the guy with the mustache right there, Vic, George's father-in-law. He's one of my favorite characters. One of my favorite scenes is actually when I can't remember what was going on, but George basically gets Vic to admit that he's a better father than him about something. I can't remember what was going on, like I said, but he's like, come on, man, just say it. I think I'd be man enough to tell you if I thought you were a better father. He's like, okay, fine. He goes, George, you're a better father than me. And then George is like, I got you. And he picks up his phone. He's like, he replays it. He's like, I got my new ringtone. It's just such a funny show. So many jokes. I've probably recognized more jokes from this show and the number 4 show on my list than probably anything ever. So yeah, very, very recommended you watch it. And speaking of which, the number 4 show on my list, a show a lot of you are probably going to be mad that I put higher than The Simpsons, but in my opinion, I felt it deserved a higher spot. I'm talking about the one and only Family Guy. And, hang on. Sorry. Throat's getting kind of dry from doing all this talking. But Family Guy, I'm sorry, I had to put it higher up for the main reason that, in my opinion, Family Guy is just funnier than The Simpsons. The Simpsons may be more of a classic, more of an American, iconic show, but Family Guy is it's so much funnier. And I'm not sure, The Simpsons does more witty humor, obviously. But the Family Guy just has the more over-the-top, raunchy jokes. I'm not even going to go into detail with some of my favorite jokes, just because some of them are mildly racist, and some of them are, because Seth MacFarlane is a really, really messed up individual, and just because, I just don't have time. Alright, if you guys promise not to get offended, my favorite joke on the show is probably when they show something about, it's a cutaway gag. The show does a lot of cutaway gags, as you know. There's a black guy riding, he's kind of rowing his boat in the swamp, and Kermit's sitting on a log playing the banjo, and the guy goes up and he's like, excuse me, do you know how to get back to town? And Kermit's like, yes, back the way you came, and he pulls out a shotgun. It's so badly racist, but it's so funny. I'm not the one making this. Don't hate on me for saying that joke. It's from the mind of Seth MacFarlane. Write him a letter if you're offended by that, but it's just one of my favorite jokes of the show, just because of how over the top and so messed up it is. But if you haven't watched Family Guy so far, you should. If you're not allowed to watch it, I understand. When you get to the age where you can, then I highly recommend you do it, because it is one of the funniest shows on American TV now, in my opinion, or British TV, or wherever you live. I don't really know some of the shows you guys have in the other countries, so I could be wrong about that. It has definitely gone down in quality, like The Simpsons, over the years. I haven't noticed that until just, like, the last Simpson, or in the last episode, or, did I say last? God, I'm sorry. I'm mixing up my words. I kind of noticed it was going down in quality last season when they killed off Brian, the dog, in a car crash, and then brought him back like 2 episodes later. Just obviously, trying to get more viewers and whatnot. And I just thought it was kind of a publicity stunt, very stupid thing that they did. But anyway, still a very funny show. And in case you guys had noticed a trend, I don't think there's been a single show on this list that hasn't been comedy. I like a lot of funny shows. I like shows that can make me laugh. The same goes with movies. That's why Napoleon Dynamite was my favorite movie on the list. These next 3 shows, though, are all dramas. The number 1 show is kind of a comedy drama, at least it was at first. but for the most part, all three of these shows are dramas. So for number 3, I'm choosing the show that I would have put as my favorite TV show of all time about a year ago, but I stumbled upon 2 other shows recently, and I can only put it at number 3 now. A lot of you are going to be shocked and probably angered by this, but number 3, I got to put The Walking Dead. I know you guys are probably writing, your hate comments right now about why this is not number 1. But I have to put it at number 3, just like I said, simply because there's 2 other shows that beat it. But let's not waste any time. Let's just get right into The Walking Dead. The Walking Dead is one of the most, one of the goriest, one of the best storytelling, one of the best acted, best character developed TV shows, I would say, on TV right now. I believe I believe this and The Big Bang Theory, from what I heard, are like the 2 most watched shows on television at this moment. I believe, like, The Walking Dead gets like 15 million viewers an episode. That's crazy. I think, and that might just be that I just heard that recently. That might just be like viewers from the U.S. I'm not sure, because you got different time zones, so you can't really predict. I mean, I guess you could, but that might just be, that might just be in the U.S. I mean, there's all sorts of different countries that have The Walking Dead, that watch it, that can watch all these TV shows, but it's a great show. It's obviously, about Rick Grimes, a former cop in the zombie apocalypse, based on the comic book series, which I've tried to read, but I just didn't really get into it because I'm not a comic book person. They kind of bore me a little bit. The graphic novels are really good, but they're just not, like I said, comic books aren't my thing. Graphic novel is just kind of like the modernized word that I guess you could use for comic books. But, yeah, it's a outstanding, like I said, brilliantly acted, brilliantly done show. I've noticed it's been getting slower lately, though, but that's no big deal. Like, Season 5, throughout the first 3 episodes, the first episode was they were breaking out of Terminus, the second episode was meeting Father Gabriel, and, Bob cutting off Bob's leg. And then the third episode was, Rick and everybody killing the hunters, Bob's death. I already said spoiler alert in this video, so don't get mad at me for that, for, spoiling it all. I thought, from those first 3 episodes, I thought, oh my god, Season 5 is going to be, like, the best season ever, if it keeps, going at this rate. But then it just kind of started slowing down, with Beth, in my opinion, the least interesting character, when she was at the Grady Hospital. I just thought it was kind of, like I said, slowed down a little bit, and then they divided, like, with all the individual groups. Rick's group going to save Beth, Eugene and Abraham's group, going to Washington, or I can't remember if they were going to Washington or not. I can't remember where they may have just been going on a supply run or something, I don't know, because I don't think they would have left without the rest of the group. But yeah, it's kind of slowed down at that point. And then Eugene, saying, oh, I'm not a real scientist or everything, kind of, there were a couple, like, moments like that, there were a couple cool moments throughout the season, but, I mean, for the most part, it just kind of slowed down. Beth's death was very unexpected and very shocking in the mid-season finale. I kind of, I will admit, I was kind of, like in, just, like, I had my mouth kind of open for, a couple of seconds, just like, wow, I can't believe that just happened. But it's not because I was mad, because she's not really that interesting of a character. I'm sorry, she's just not. But I just, just because it was just shocking the way they just killed her off all abruptly like that. I thought if anybody would have died, it would have been Carol, which I would have been much more distraught over, considering Carol is honestly, like, one of, her and Michonne are probably, like, my 2 favorite characters in the show right now. And Daryl, of course. I mean, saying Daryl's my favorite character should, like, almost go without saying. But, those 3, they're probably, like, the 3 coolest characters on the whole show. And, I just thought Carol's time, becoming such an awesome character, I thought maybe, I thought that maybe they would end her story arc at this point. But they decided to do it with Beth. At least she kind of did some useful stuff before she died, but ultimately I think this whole petition about bringing her back, that's got like over 50,000 signatures apparently, I think it's dumb. It's not really, I don't know. I just think it's kind of dumb, and I really hope they don't end up bringing her back magically somehow. But anyway, enough talking about The Walking Dead. Just wanted to kind of vent a little bit about Season 5 and what I think of it so far. So that is The Walking Dead at number 3. Number 2 is a show, the most recent show I've watched in this list. Like I said, just wrapped up on Tuesday. last Tuesday. The reason I was actually holding out this video for so long, if it weren't for this show, I probably would have had this video out to by like summer. Then I started watching this after I finished up watching my number 1 show on the list, and then I got hooked, and then I would decide I'd just wait until it was over because I knew the final season was coming up to do this list. At number 2, I have Sons of Anarchy. And Sons of Anarchy, it's basically about the motorcycle club. Sons of Anarchy Motorcycle Club, Redwood Original, Sam Crow. And throughout the show, they're basically just dealing with, the drugs, drug business, dealing guns with the IRA, and just different, random club business, about different sons and whatnot, kind of the falling out between Jax's mom and Clay, the president of the club, kind of falling out between them and Jax's father, Jax being our main character, the VP, who wants to kind of, he's kind of cool at the beginning, but towards season 2, he kind of wants to overthrow Clay and kind of take over the club for himself, become the president, which he eventually does in season 4 finale. Like I said, I already said spoiler alert. And this was honestly, The Walking Dead was higher than this for quite a while. Because from what I remember, I started watching this. And by the time I got done with season 1, I was like, okay, you know what, this show definitely has to be in the top 10 somewhere. By the time I would say I was like done with season 3 or 4, I was like, yeah, this show has to be in the top 5. By the time I got done with season 6, I was like, okay, this show is going to be in the top 3, without a doubt. And, which, as you know, season 6 finale, huge spoiler alert, Tara's death, by Gemma killing her. And then, by, like, halfway through season 7, around the time Bobby's death happened, I was like, you know what, I'm sorry, this is a better show than The Walking Dead, I just can't resist putting it higher. They actually both have, if anybody uses IMDb, the Internet Movie Database, these are both actually tied on there with an 8.7 out of 10. So it's kind of funny. It's kind of hard to pick a favorite of the two at times. But overall, I would definitely say this is a better show. And it might, like I said, might anger a lot of fans, but I would almost be willing to say it's a lot better show. Just because it's so much more poetic. It's almost like a modern version of Hamlet. I'm not quite familiar with the story of Hamlet, but I'm pretty sure it goes the mom and the stepdad overthrew the king, which was the main character's father, which is very similar to the premise of this show. Like I said, I'm not quite familiar with it. It's just something I read on the internet. But it's just, and then this finale, let me talk about the finale for a second. The finale blew my mind away. I mean, with, Jax basically doing right by his club, pretty much setting up a good future for his boys, for his sons. Not the Sons of Anarchy, I mean, like, his sons, like, his actual 2 kids. Killing his mom, Gemma, tying up the loose end with, Tara. Killing August Marks, the man that, killed Bobby. And then killing Borowski, as you know, the guy that, the former cop, who, like I've said before, reminds me a lot of Mike from Breaking Bad. He's kind of a former cop, kind of has like a shady side, it just kind of reminds me of Mike. Yeah, he shoots him. And I just think it's he tied up all the loose ends. I think it's a, good way for him to kind of leave a good thing for him to, kind of tie up all these loose ends, kind of finish this business. He took care of the IRA, too. He kind of killed one of the kings. And then after, the Sons of Anarchy help him, set up an escape plan. He starts a whole cop chase after visiting the spot where his dad crashed his motorcycle. And he sees a truck coming, the same truck that, drove Gemma, to her father's nursing home, the last episode, played by Michael Chiklis. If anybody knows who that is. I do, because I know a lot about movies and stuff, so. But basically he sees the truck, and then he just, he spreads his arms out, and he just lets his motorcycle crash right in the truck. He suffers the same fate as his father, and I just thought it was a brilliant, beautiful way for them to end the show. And then you've got the song, you might want to look it up sometime, called Come Join the Murder, playing in the background, a very, very touching song. They played, in a way, the murder of crows, Sam Crow. It's kind of got that meaning, but it's also got a double meaning, because it means, the murder, like, come join all the murdered, come join, Tara, Opie, Bobby, Clay, all the sons that have died, all the people that he's lost. because of, because of Sam Crow and the rival gangs. Just come join us all. You'll be free in here. Kind of, one of the lyrics in the song says. And then the last shot, as you know, is the two crows eating food on the side of the road. They fly away, and then you see Jack's blood just flow down the pavement, and then the Sons of Anarchy logo comes up, and then that's like the very last shot. Just a beautiful, brilliant way to end the final episode, and I thought the season 7 just delivered, and I loved it. And now, number 1, I made the mistake of mentioning one of the characters here. I was going to kind of make it a surprise, in the last one. But I was going to kind of make it a surprise, but since I made that little slip up, I think you guys all know what number 1 is. Number 1, I've definitely, without a doubt, now, no question, not at all, have to give to Breaking Bad. The highest rated show on IMDb, well, it used to be, with a 9.6. Now I think it's tied with Game of Thrones at a 9.5. But Breaking Bad, as you know, if you haven't heard of it by now, it stars Walter White, our main character, played by absolutely brilliantly by Bryan Cranston. Basically, he gets diagnosed with lung cancer, and, he needs to provide for his family. He's going to leave them with all this debt, from all of his cancer treatment. So what does he do? Teams up with former student Jesse Pinkman, former student turned drug dealer, and he basically starts cooking crystal meth because he's a chemist. He's a way overqualified high school teacher, and he knows his stuff. And like he even says in the first episode, you know the business, and I know the chemistry, so let's partner up. But it's such a brilliant show, just the way they tie everything together. Like, in the one of the only things I thought Sons of Anarchy and The Walking Dead were lacking is, in a way, this show feels almost like a story. Like, I'm not saying the others don't, but this, feels like, almost like a storybook, Like, things that happen in Season 1 are still relevant in Season 5. All these things. I heard another reviewer mention something similar to that, a reviewer I watch on YouTube, and I thought it was a very good point, so I figured I'd bring it up here. With, I'm going to try and talk quieter because I think my dad's in the other room, and we're only on the episode where we just watched the episode where Hank confronts Walt in the garage, so we still have about 7 episodes of the show to go. We're almost on Season 5. But, even the scene when Walt watched Jane die in Season 2, later on, in Ozymandias, we've got, after Hank's death, we've got Walt going up to Jesse right before Uncle Jack's gang takes him away, saying, I watched Jane die, I could have saved her, but I didn't, and I was just so cold, and, you've got that flashback to that scene, that brutal scene in Season 2, and, it's still relevant to that, this one of the most current episodes, and then you've got the ricin, that Walt ends up using on Lydia in the finale, that's been in the show. That was the vial they were going to use on Gus, in Season 4, I think. Season 3, Season 4. And I think the finale of the show took place in Wanda's 52nd birthday, if I remember right. So, then this had to have been, about a year and a half later, he still got that ricin. And then obviously, like I said earlier, you've got Hank's death, one of the saddest moments of the show. And then Gus Fring, his death was so well done. Gus Fring is one of the coolest characters in the show. We've got the comic relief, Saul, and Skinny Pete and Badger. We've got Jesse Pinkman, probably the, Aaron Paul being, the greatest actor on that show next to Bryan Cranston. We've got the somewhat annoying Skyler, the amazingly annoying Marie. Oh my god, I couldn't stand her. We've got the somewhat bumbling, but in a way a very cool character of Hank. It's kind of cool he was able to piece all this stuff together, in a way. He's a very committed, very committed DEA agent. And then we've got, I want to touch on everything, we've got Tio Salamanca, the Bell guy, the guy from Scarface. And then we've got, oh god, what's his name? Oh, you've got Mike, as I mentioned earlier. I kind of made that slip up earlier. Another really bad A character in the show. And then we've got, let's see, who else we got? I mentioned Gus Fring, we've got Saul Goodman, I mentioned him. We got, Walter Jr., who doesn't really serve a ton of purpose to the show, but is still an interesting enough character. And I've been thinking about, I'll probably do my top whatever moments of Breaking Bad. It depends how many I can think of. Like, if I can think of, like, 20 or 25, then I'll do a 20 or 25, or if I can only think of, like, 12, maybe I'll just, instead of adding it, I'll either add another 3 and, like, make it 15, or I'll just cut 2 and just make it 10 or something. It depends on how many I can think of from the show that I think would be worthy of a list. But just the whole show, you know, it's so amazingly well done. You know, the way I see, you know, like Season 1, a little bit of the slow scenes, kind of the introductory to everything. But you gotta get past it, you know, to kind of understand everybody and everything that's going on. Season 2, we've pretty much got Walt entering, like kind of starting to enter the high up in the drug business. We've got Season 3, him working for Gus. Season 4, him taking down Gus. Season 5A, which is kind of like, you know, Walt starting his own empire. And then, you know, kind of like the downfall of the empire almost, you know, towards the end of there. Well, actually, no, it's kind of the higher part. It kind of starts downfalling when Todd takes over. And then Season 5B, which is basically, the way I like to think of it as Hank versus Walt. You know, and all of Walt's everything in his world coming crashing down. But I just love this show. And just a quick thing I'd like to put out there. For anybody that's seen all of The Walking Dead, Breaking Bad, and Sons of Anarchy, if anybody's seen them all, I doubt anybody has, but I just want to comment. I can't decide. I have a favorite episode of every show. Breaking Bad, my favorite episode is obviously, without a doubt, Ozymandias. You know, the episode, you know, Hank's death. You know, Jesse being forced to work for Uncle Jack and his gang. And then we've got, let's see, what was the other plot point in that episode? Oh yeah, and then, you know, Walter and Skyler in the knife fight, you know, and then, you know, Walt taking Holly and leaving, and calling Saul's guy. So you've got that episode for Breaking Bad. You've got Too Far Gone, the episode where the governor takes down the prison from The Walking Dead. And then we've got the series finale of The Sons of Anarchy, the one that just aired recently, if anybody's seen that. Out of those 3 episodes, my favorite episodes are my top 3 shows. If anybody's seen all 3 of them, I want to know what your favorite is, because I can't decide. It's been a while since I've seen Ozymandias and Too Far Gone, so maybe I'm just preferencing this one a little bit more, but I'm honestly leaning more towards Sons of Anarchy at the moment, just because, maybe it's because I'm, you know, just still in shock that, you know, everything's over, and like I said, the last scene just touched me, and I thought it was really just well done. It was such a beautiful scene, you know, just Jax, you know, just letting everything go, and you know, dying like his father. But if anybody's seen all 3, I really want you to comment below and tell me which one your favorite is. And going on almost 40 minutes, it looks like we're going to have to wrap this video up. I really appreciate all of those that have stuck with me for this long. I really just wanted to kind of capture the essence of all these shows, though, and tell you guys about them. I don't want to miss any details, especially not with these top 3. And tell me which one your favorite is. Tell me your top 10, your top 15, your top gazillion. I don't care. Pour your heart out in the comments. I love reading them. Comments are my favorite parts of doing these videos. I like to see what your guys' favorite part is, favorite shows are. Yeah. And tell me, like I said, answer the question I asked earlier. What's your favorite of the 3 episodes? Ozymandias, Too Far Gone, and I believe the series finale of Sons of Anarchy was called Papa's Goods, because that was the logo on the truck that crashed into Jax. So yeah, let me know those top 3. Out of the top 3, which one you think is your favorite. Like I said before, let me know what your favorite show is. And most importantly, thank you for watching, and I will see you later.